CSI, crime scene investigation kicked off an era of television shows that focused on forensics and the investigative process surrounding crimes instead of being a legal drama or a straight-up police procedural. CSI still had its fair share of investigators who analyzed and experimented with evidence, though. The original series, set in Las Vegas, premiered in 2000 and was followed by CSI, Miami, CSI, New York, CSI, Cyber, and, more recently, a revival series in CSI, Vegas. The CSI franchise timeline covers more than 20 years. Each show featured a different cast of investigators setting out to solve grisly murders. These investigators are the best the CSI franchise has to offer, thanks to their specialized skill sets and their ability to pursue evidence both in and out of a lab. Mac Taylor, played by Gary Sinise. CSI, New York. Mac Taylor, Gary Sinise, walking in an alley in CSI, New York. Credit, image via Sonia Fleming, a copyright symbol CBS, courtesy Everett Collection. Mac Taylor is the supervisor for the main CSI team highlighted in the New York spin-off series. While the first two series made a point of how science-leaning the team leaders were, New York is different. Mac actually seems less suited to work in a lab and much more suited to the interrogations and witness statement sessions that the police detective in charge of the cases would be handling. As a result, he seems like he is in a good position as a supervisor, but not necessarily someone who can do all of the detailed work. That being said, he runs his team like a tight ship. He knows which parts of the investigation each member of his team is best suited for, and Mac makes sure that CSI, New York does not see any major evidence mistakes. Mac is meticulous and someone who can see the big picture while everyone else is looking at the smaller parts of it. Raven Ramirez, played by Hayley Kiyoko. CSI, Cyber. Raven, Hayley Kiyoko, examining a piece of technology in CSI, Cyber. Credit, image via Michael Yerish, copyright symbol CBS, courtesy Everett Collection. CSI, Cyber is the anomaly in the franchise in that the work is not done with a local police department. Instead, the work is done as part of the FBI. Computer forensics is also very different from physical forensic investigation, but that does not mean there are not skilled investigators on the team. Hayley Kiyoko plays Raven Ramirez, one of the youngest members of the team. She is a former hacker who begins using her skills to catch those who put other people in danger. She also becomes an expert in cyber trends, social media investigations, and becomes the international relations representative for the team. Raven wears a lot of hats in the short-lived chapter of the CSI franchise, and no aspect of her work ever suffers for it. Raven makes coming through the wide net of social media and online trends look easy, all while she uses the very things we take for granted to bring down criminals. Sarah Seidel, Georgia Fox. CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, CSI, Vegas. Sarah Seidel, Georgia Fox, with a camera at a crime scene in CSI. Credit, image for CBS via MovieStills.db. Sarah is one of the rookie investigators when the original CSI series premieres, compared to the rest of the team. She is initially very clinical in her approach to dealing with forensic evidence, but gradually shows more empathy and understanding for those affected by all of the evidence she gathers. Sarah shows some of the most growth during her initial time in the franchise. She has a great understanding of many different forms of forensics work and is detail-oriented in a way that is almost unbelievable. Despite being so good at her job, Sarah never has one specific area in which she excels. She does, however, know when to step away from the work that can become too much. She leaves the field for a time to focus on her life outside of her career before eventually returning to work in forensics. Sarah also appears as a recurring character in the CSI, Vegas revival series, still working in the field over a decade later. Stella Bonacera, played by Melina Kanaka-Reeds. CSI, New York. Stella, Melina Kanaka-Reeds, examining a piece of evidence by a brick wall in CSI, NY. Credit, image for CBS via MovieStills.db. Stella is not the supervisor in CSI, New York, but she is Mac's right hand. She is, also, however, a better investigator than Mac is. Stella is the one who seems to excel when investigations lead to puzzles. In one episode, she even reassembles shards of glass to get a complete picture of what the glass used to be and how it relates to the murder at hand. Stella is able to balance the actual science of the forensics with the more boots-on-the-ground investigative work. She is equally adept in the lab and on the street with Detective Flack, Eddie Cahill. Stella eventually leaves CSI, New York, but when the character is written out of the show, it's not to abandon a life of crime solving. Instead, she gets an offer to head her own forensic lab in another state. Fans wish that would have meant her own CSI spin-off series. Cowley Duquesne, played by Emily Proctor. CSI, Miami. Cowley, Emily Proctor, examining a car after an airbag deployed in CSI, Miami. Credit, image via Gail M. Adler, copyright symbol CBS, courtesy, Everett Collection. Callie Duquesne is a fascinating character, juxtaposing the put-together Southern belle with someone who has no problem putting her heels in the mud to dig out bullet fragments in the swamp. While Horatio Kane is in charge of the CSI, Miami team, Callie becomes the day shift supervisor during her time on the show. She also has a very important area of expertise in a show like CSI, Miami, where so many of the cases in the series involve shootings. Callie is a ballistics expert. There is no firearm she is not familiar with, willing to take apart, and willing to test at a shooting range. Though that is a very niche part of forensics work, Callie is also adept at nearly any other aspect of dissecting evidence as well. Eric Delco, played by Adam Rodriguez. CSI, Miami. Eric Delco, Adam Rodriguez, talking with someone in the lab in CSI, Miami. Credit, image for CBS via MovieStills.db. Long before Adam Rodriguez was an FBI profiler on Criminal Minds, he was a forensics investigator on CSI, Miami. He was also the team's Renaissance man. Eric Delco never met a pattern comparison he was not interested in. If the team needed someone to examine tire treads, identify drug compounds, or check out fingerprints, Delco was their man. He could also find a variety of creative ways to retrieve fingerprints from surfaces other investigators might have thought they could not. The CSI, Miami team places a heavy emphasis on the importance of science as well. Many of the team members have degrees in chemistry, including Delco. The downside to Delco's work is that he is a bit of a hothead, and his emotions can often get in the way of him doing his investigative work. Raymond Langston, played by Lawrence Fishburne. CSI, crime scene investigation. Raymond Langston, Lawrence Fishburne, talking with a prisoner in CSI. Credit, image via Sonia Fleming, a copyright symbol CBS, courtesy Everett Collection. Raymond Langston is unique among the CSI investigators across the franchise because he does not start out in that line of work or in law enforcement. Instead, he starts out as a medical doctor. Langston is an accomplished doctor who specializes in forensic pathology. He is also a published author. His career, long before he becomes a forensic investigator, gives him a unique perspective on cases.